Imagine a world surprisingly like our own. It is a world of international trade, of diplomatic treaties, of complex economies. Kings send letters to one another across the ocean. Merchants ship goods thousands of miles. It is the first global economy. This was the late Bronze Age. For 300 years, the Mediterranean was ruled by invincible superpowers. The Egyptians, the Hittites, the Mycenaeans. They were the G7 of the ancient world. They seemed too big to fail. And then, in the blink of an eye, they were gone. Between 1200 and 1150 BC, almost every major city in the civilized world was burned to the ground. The trade routes stopped. The writing stopped. The art stopped. The only clue we have is a vague report from the Egyptians about a mysterious army that came from the ocean. They called them the Sea Peoples. Today, we are going to solve history's greatest cold case. Who were they, and how did they end the world? To understand the murder, you have to understand the victim. The world of 1177 BC ran on bronze, and bronze is hard to make. You need copper, and you need tin. The problem? Copper was found here, but tin was found way over here. This meant that to have weapons, you needed trade. You needed friends. Archaeologists found a shipwreck from this era off the coast of Turkey. Inside, they found amber from the Baltic, ivory from Africa, and glass from Mesopotamia. It was a single cargo ship carrying the entire world in its hold. Kings addressed each other as brother. They married each other's daughters. It was a time of unprecedented peace and stability. Until the letters changed. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the lost chapters of human history, please take a second to like and subscribe. It helps us bring more of the past back to life. In the city of Ugarit, we found a clay tablet baked in a kiln. But it wasn't baked on purpose. It was baked by the fires that burned the city down. It was literally the last email sent before the internet went out. It reads, "My father, behold, the enemy's ships came. My cities were burned, and they did evil things in my country. Does not my father know that all my troops and chariots are away? The country is abandoned to itself." One by one, the dominoes fell. The mighty Hittite empire gone. The Mycenaeans, the guys who fought the Trojan War, vanished. And the attackers? They were all heading for the final boss, Egypt. Ramses III was the pharaoh of Egypt, and he knew they were coming. He gathered his army at the Nile Delta and set a trap. On the walls of his temple at Medinet Habu, he carved the story of what happened. He calls them the Pele Set, the Tjeker, the Shikalesh, a confederation of tribes destroying everything in their path. But look closely at the carvings. These aren't just raiding parties. They have ox carts. They have wives and children. This wasn't an invasion. It was a migration. Ramses defeated them. He saved Egypt, but the victory cost him everything. Egypt was drained. The treasury was empty. The pharaoh survived, but the age of the empire was over. So who were the Sea Peoples? Were they Vikings? Atlanteans? Modern historians think the answer is actually scarier. They were refugees. Pollen samples from the soil tell us that right around 1200 BC, the region was hit by a mega drought that lasted decades. Crops failed. People starved. At the same time, geologists have found evidence of earthquake storms, a series of massive tremors that leveled city walls from Greece to Turkey. The Sea Peoples weren't monsters. They were victims. They were people from Italy, Sicily, and Greece whose homes had been destroyed by famine and war. They banded together, moving east, desperate for food. They didn't cause the collapse. They were a symptom of it. The system was too fragile. One earthquake, one drought, one cut trade route, and the whole global economy shattered. After 1177 BC, the lights went out. Greece entered a dark age. Writing was forgotten for centuries. The great palaces were buried. But from the ashes came something new. With no tin to make bronze, blacksmiths were forced to experiment with a cheaper, uglier metal found in the dirt. Iron. The apocalypse didn't just end a world. It forged the one we live in today. Civilizations are fragile. It happened to them. And if the systems fail, it could happen again. History is full of missing chapters. If you want to help us find them, click subscribe. We're just getting started.